Oh, Lord. Ugh. So I'm going to wait for a few people to watch us. Don't mind that I look like shit. Because Lord knows, I look so great right now. Hi, Uncle Mert. Sammy. Oh, boy. It's cold outside, by the way, Samantha. And your daughters wanted to decide to just play outside in the snow before I dropped them off. I was like, really? So much fun. My goodness, we got Phil Barber up in here. Oh, fancy pants. I love you too, Uncle Mert. Sorry that I look like crap, guys. You know, this is great. So I said I was going to do these live videos, I don't know, just for other people to watch and shit. Kind of to, I don't know, see who sees, like, things from my point of view, things I've been through, this, that, and third, in hopes that, like, I stop saying the word like or swear all the time. That'd be great. But, so tonight I'm going to talk about addiction. I, as everybody knows, am not an addict, thank God. But I guess we could say that in a way that's a lie, because everybody is addicted to something. So, whether it be you're addicted to drugs, addicted to, like me, certain foods, addicted to fixing people, addicted to, I mean, OCD is kind of an addiction because you're addicted to the idea that something's not in the right place, this, that, and the third. My story with addiction starts when I was super little and has nothing to do with me as a person. My dad, regardless of what anybody has to say, had an addiction himself. He either was addicted to alcohol, like he was whatever, drunk, whatever. I don't really know what term to use because, again, I wasn't there and I wasn't alive or at that time frame when it started. But either way, for many of you that don't know what happened to my dad, he was 27 years old and caught a sales charge for selling to an undercover minor. So he was kind of like the middleman. So, like, if Joe Schmo calls me and says, hey, do you know where to get some yayo? I can be like, sure, yeah. And I go get it. And then I come back and I sell it to him regardless of if I'm the dealer or not. I become the dealer because I then exchange the drugs with him. So my dad, at 27 years old, was sentenced to jail. Not even 2 weeks after he went upstate did he find out, well, I guess I should back up. When he was in Ontario County Jail, he hit his head in the old jail, the one that's on Ontario Street. He hit his head on the side of one of the bunks, and it didn't heal. And actually, I wasn't going to show these pictures, but no, I think I'm going to. Hold on. They're kind of gruesome, so I really won't let everybody see the whole thing. But when I got my dad's, his death certificate, or his guest book from my grandpa after he passed, in it was an envelope that fell out, or some pictures that I just wasn't really prepared to see. So I'm just going to show you the top of the picture because the world doesn't need to see all that. So hold on one second. That is the cut that was on his head. Now, these pictures are actually of my dad after he passed. So he hit his head and got that big of a gash on his head in OCJ. He was told by one of the other inmates, who I now know has passed away, that his head wasn't healing. So they took him to Thompson, and Thompson diagnosed him with the flu. Okay, so whatever. That's why it wasn't healing, blah, blah. 2 weeks after he got to Elmira Correctional Facility, He succumbed to stage 4 testicular cancer at 27 years old. Now, this is where this ties into addiction. My dad was so worried about being the life of the party, so worried about having a good time, being out. And this isn't me dogging him by any means, because, God, what 20-something-year-old doesn't want to go have fun? That he was so worried about all that he just refused to go to a doctor and ended up passing away from one of the most curable cancers in life. That's out there, I guess you should say. So, for me, that complex already started that a drug or a party was more important than I was. And I already have my own issues with, I guess we'll say daddy issues, that why wasn't I good enough for you to stay out of jail? Why didn't you love me as much as you loved my brothers? Because there are millions of pictures of both of my brothers and my dad, and there's only one in existence of him and I. I have letters. I have letters and all that kind of stuff, but that's a whole nother video we'll do about daddy issues and blah, blah. So there was drugs already put ahead of me. And then, my mom met Eric. For those of you who don't know, Eric is my stepdad, and I'm going to show you his picture. Eric is my stepdad. Eric is like 9 years older than me. Well, he was anyway. At the time when my mom brought him into my life, he was 21 years old, the cook at Cassidy's in Farmington. He was a kid. Little did I know when I was younger about any of it, but he was a drug addict. And I didn't really know about it much until we moved into the house in Farmington, which around that time I was around 14. So there would be days that I would come home and I called it the pasta bowl. I would come home and he literally would be, and the first time it happened is because he had a pasta bowl full of like salad and he would like try to eat it and that kind of shit. Excuse my language. So that became more frequent and more normal to me. That things would come up missing. He would say that he was working late, and my mom would get red light tickets because his car was registered in her name, so they would send the ticket to her. It got to a point when I was about, I'd say 21, 22, maybe 23, something like that. I don't know, it was around that time frame. Where I refused to even come home. Like, it was so bad. I was terrified to come home. And that was, like, after he had been to rehab, like, 3 times already. And sure enough, I was right to feel that way because my mom came home from work one night. And she walked by him sleeping in the chair. And she thought that he was just sleeping, whatever. Well, she realized he didn't seem like he was breathing. Sure enough, he'd overdosed in my living room, and if my mom hadn't called 911, Narcan him, the whole 9 yards, he would have been gone. The fear of me coming home was because I didn't want to find him like that, and I thank God I didn't. So then after that, he went to rehab, blah, 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 the whole 9 yards, said he was doing great. Well, that lasted for all of, like, a year, maybe 2. Then the pattern just kept going. My mom and Eric broke up. Or they split up, they divorced. She moved on with her life, whatever. He moved on with his. Well, back in like May, I had just talked to him, because Eric and I stayed close. Like, that was my dude, man. And he supposedly he was clean, he wasn't using this, that, and the third. That's very nice of you, John. Thank you. He wasn't using this, that, and the third. He was sober for like 3 years and blah, 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 blah. Well, on September 20th, 2018, I got on Facebook. And, John, I'm not even done with it, so just listen to it. So I got on Facebook on September 20th. I was laying on my couch in my living room, and I seen a status by somebody, and it said, I'm supposed to be going to your weddings, not your funerals. So tired of burying my friends. Well, it happened to be a friend of Eric's, so I tried to call him. I'm like, hey, he'll know who it was, like, blah, blah, blah. No answer, no answer. So I called somebody else, and I was like, hey, I can't get a hold of Eric. Do you have any idea who passed away? And she goes, is that a joke? And I'm like, no, why? And she's like, it was Eric. I'm like, what do you mean it was Eric? So on September 20th, 2018, Eric died of a heroin overdose. Well, fentanyl overdose, I should say. Now, the year prior to that, I met my best friend, Brandon. Most of you know who Brandon is. I mean, I talk about him all the time. But if you don't, I guess I'll show you a picture of Brandon. That is Brandon. I've known Brandon since I was in, like, 10th grade. Or actually, Brandon was in, like, 10th grade, so I was, like, in 11th or 12th. And he went to school with my brother. They played football together. And we just have been really close ever since. When Brandon had his daughter, Hallie, she calls me Aunt Corey. His little brother and I are close. His whole family and I are close. Brandon spent some time in prison, and he came home in September of last year. Well, 2 years ago, I should say. And he's always battled with his addiction. Just really rough time with it. And he was home for maybe 26 days, or 16 days, overdosed the first time. And then I saw him about a week later, and I asked him about it, and this is where the guilt is here, is that I asked him about it in my kitchen, and he looked at me and said, baby girl, it's just some pills. It's nothing. It's no big deal, I promise. In my head, I knew he was lying to me, and even regardless of him saying it's just pills, it should have pushed my brain open and been like, Corey, like, you need to do something. But in my head, like, I wanted to be the good friend. I didn't want to tell on him or get him in trouble. And if I could take that back and this is taking everything in me not to cry as I talk about this, take this back every day, I would do it different. I would call his mom. I would tell her something was wrong. But I didn't. And I can't take it back. Well, about a week and a half later, or a week later, I should say, I was sleeping in my bed, and I woke up to Edwina Lloyd sending me a message saying how, hey, did you hear what happened to Brandon? And she has a cousin named Brandon, too. So I was like, Brandon Lloyd? And she goes, no. Brandon Perry. I was like, no, what? On September 28th, 2018, or 17, excuse me, Brandon died of fentanyl overdose. That day, my whole life changed. Like, now, I'm going to back up. I wear this man on my neck every day. And I am so grateful his family let me have this or they gave it to me. Because this right here, this little heart, has a piece of Brandon in it. It's Brandon's ashes. And this is what pushes me to keep going every single day. Like, when I'm sad, I rub this thing. When I'm mad, I rub this thing. When I'm scared, I rub this thing. Like, this little piece of Brandon really keeps me going. But what a lot of the world doesn't know, and I'm not going to say too much about who it is or what it is, but somebody I care about very deeply, 2 days before that, had their own overdose. And this person was very close to me, had their own overdose, and I didn't know about it until, like, the next day. So I found out about that. Then Brandon dies. So my whole world was, like, just shattered. Then, a few months later, this same person overdoses again. I'm at work and I see pictures of a certain house. I try to call this person. They don't answer. Finally, I call this person's parents. They tell me yes, blah, 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 blah. This person is in the hospital, yada, yada, yada. From that day that Brandon had died, though, I had to back up from that to explain that. From the day that Brandon passed away, my whole outlook on addiction has changed. It went from being a decision to me now, and this is where people can have their debates. I'm open for opinions and ideas about addiction, as long as it's a educated idea on addiction. Because if you know nothing about it, I don't want to hear that it's something ridiculous, outlandish. It's a really, really tough subject. So, to me prior, it was a choice. They could stop whenever they wanted, this, that, and the third. But it's not a choice. It's a choice to start, yes. It is a choice, but how many of you, between the ages of 13 and 18, when you were in high school, went to a party, drank a beer, smoked pot, which the pot thing really is an addiction thing, but you still tried something. Regardless, you didn't know what the outcome was. You didn't know, like, how many of you broke your arm and, you know, they offered you pain meds, had surgery, they offered you pain meds. My cousin Chaz, it started with pain meds, and in July of 17, she succumbed to an accidental overdose. It's a choice to begin with to start something. But once you pick up that demon of some sort, if you have the addiction gene in your brain, it locks you. Now, I'll tell you, I'm no angel. Be very honest. I have partied with the best of them in every form possible. Gam, I love you too. Gam is Brandon's grandma, and she's watching this, so trying to hold composure as well because I don't want her to see me sad. I've partied with the best of them. No, I don't do heroin. No, I've never tried heroin. But I've had a good time. I mean, I've lived. Believe me, I was wild for a while. You know, I drank. I had a good time. You know, I've tried things. I'm lucky. I didn't catch the addiction bug. My brother, Tony, he did. Ended up in prison because of it. My brother, Jamie, he's got his own demons. No, he's not a drug addict, but, you know, addiction can come in any form, like I said. But my outlook on addiction changed also because the person that was in my life that survived their overdoses now became my addiction, because I was so scared, and still to this day, was so scared that I couldn't let him die like Brandon did. I couldn't. It became my mission to make sure he survived. And in the process, I lost myself. I was doing things that I never would have done. Like, you know, I've probably could tell you 4 or 5 trap houses in the city with my eyes closed how to get there. I can tell you countless number of times that I've been to Flacra to drop him off, to pick him up, rehab, sign himself out, rehab, sign himself out. And at some point, I had to figure out who I was. And the hardest part is that you can't fix them. If the person you love is addicted, you can't fix them. You have to let them do it on their own. Being an addict is hard, but loving an addict is just as hard. I have more people in my life than I care to admit that are addicts. And this extends between friends, family, people I know in passing. I've attended more funerals than I care to admit. As I said, Brandon's passing, it changed me. And for anybody who has genuinely loved someone with an addiction, that's a loss that there's no closure from, because it's something that could have been preventable. To take my 5'2" butt, okay, and try to put up on my tiptoes to kiss Brandon's cold forehead was a moment that I'll never forget. Never, never forget. And if you're struggling with addiction yourself, just remember you're loved, and that regardless of what you do, someone is always going to be there for you. And if you feel you don't have anybody, call me. I will find a way to help you. No, I won't give you money. No, you can't stay at my house, but I'll do whatever else I can to help you. I'll get you in contact with somebody that can help you, whether it be a doctor, whether it be a rehab facility, whether it be your family, something. I'll help you. You're not alone. But I really think that people need to understand, if you've never dealt with someone with addiction, or you yourself haven't dealt with one, don't tell people how to deal with the people they care about. Don't sit there and call them names and scumbags and outlandish different things, because that happened to me. The people in my life that weren't addicts or weren't dealing with the addicts would call the people I care about scumbags, losers, pieces of shit, different horrible things. And it didn't make me want to not help. It made me want to help more. Because the problem is that I've seen the real Brandon. I know what he's like without glazed eyes. I've seen the real Eric. Give me a second. Oh. Sorry. It got me a little bit. I've seen these people, because I can't say the other person's name, but seen these people before addiction overtook who they were. And even in that sense, you still see a glimmer of the person that you love. On the days that they're sick because they don't have it, there's like a little itty bitty piece that you can see come out. I've also seen people who have been addicts that have made it. Shout out to Dana Ryder. I am so proud of you. Dana is Eric's best friend, for those of you that don't know. Dana was right alongside Eric. Wild, crazy, this, that, and third. He now runs a sober living house and has been sober and is a husband and has 2 sons. And it can happen if you want it to. But unfortunately, like I said, you can't fix people. And that's my addiction, is fixing people. Because I never, ever want someone to feel how at some point in life I have. You know what I mean? Or the next person has, where they're lonely or not good enough. I don't have to live with the fact every day that although I'm not speaking to that other person right now and he's not speaking to me, that the next time I see that person, they may not be here anymore. But do I still pray for that person every day that I hope to God that never happens? Yeah. I guess my point for part of this too is just be careful how you talk to those people in your life too. You might get angry. You might get fed up because, please believe, I know what it feels like I know what it feels like to want to strangle these people, to just be like, why can't you stop? But you can't. You can't do that. They're not themselves under that substance. They're not thinking about you or your feelings. They're not. They become the most self-centered human beings you'll ever meet. Because this person that I'm talking about was one of the most loving, caring, happy people that I've ever met. Like, literally would go to the ends of earth for me, sober. Soon as that shit gets in that person's hand, I'm every name in the book but white. So, Jade, get it, girl. Shout out. Jade just says she's sober. Yay! It doesn't do anything to banter or harp on them. Your tears, they don't work. Girl, I've cried. I've begged. I've pleaded. On my knees, screamed, yelled, cursed. It's just one of those things. Hey, Jay. I mean, I'm good, girl. Hey. No matter the amount of pleading, kicking, screaming, begging, crying, doesn't do anything. Until that person wakes up one day and is like, I want to change my life. It's not going to happen. Also, don't you dare, and this is for anybody, don't you dare tell me how to grieve. Because I'll tell you right now, it's going to be 2 years Brandon has been gone in September, and I swear to God, it still feels like yesterday. Every single day of my life. Gotta pull myself together again. Hold on. You also have to remember when Brandon died, I was dealing with a lot of stuff myself. Brandon was using. Marky was locked up. My other one was in his own battle. So I was dealing with so many things on top of losing Brandon. Many of you don't know, Brandon was supposed to be at my house that morning. I was supposed to pick him up. He was supposed to call me. I was supposed to pick him up and he was supposed to stay the night here. His last words to me were, I'm going to go take a shower. I'll hit you up when I'm done. I love you, boner. That is the last thing that man said to me. And I think a part of Brandon knew. And that's why he didn't come here. Because I would have been the one that found him. This is where I'm going to start to lose it. I've been to a medium twice since he's left. And, he came through. I mean, I've noticed, there's 3 times actually, because I went with his family the first time. But, sorry guys. It's just really hard. So since he left and Eric died, I went to a medium, and they both supposedly came through, but I guess the reality of that is you don't know if it's real. And death is infinite. I mean, I believe in heaven and all that crazy shit, but at the same time, like, nothing's the same as being able to call Brandon and be like, yo, what's up, schmugs? What are you doing? Oh, nothing. Or calling Eric and hear him go, kid, what are you doing? Losing a parent sucks. But losing them young sucks. Then to have your stepdad go right behind them. All by choices made because of addiction. No, the cancer wasn't created by addiction. No, Eric didn't think the last time was the last time. Brandon, he just, I don't know. But I'm just kind of at a loss for words now because I lost my whole train of thought when I started crying. I'm sorry. It's hard for you to understand what someone like me has been through unless you've been through it. Unless the end of your battle with this addiction results in me closing a casket on you. And then you get to the funeral. Okay? We'll take again. You keep using Brandon's because his is the most prominent for me. You get to the funeral and people show up. Gam, I'm sorry. I love you too. I'm using Brandon because he's just the easiest one to use. And you stand there, and his family, his sister specifically, dragged me, or actually his Aunt Shauna and his Graham, the one watching, are the ones that got me to go in the funeral home. When I got to the funeral home, as soon as I walked in the door, the first picture I see is that picture I showed you guys earlier of Brandon and I. And I stopped dead in my tracks in the middle of the foyerway. And I wouldn't come in. Well, his grandma and his Aunt Shauna took me and said, you gotta come in there. So I went in there. And his sister, Natasha, said, this is your spot. And they literally had a spot on the right side of the casket. It went me, Natasha, Brandon, Vicky, which is his mom, then Brennan and David. To watch all these people come through, and a lot of them had their own battles, their own demons, this, that, and the third. But then to find out that some of the people you expected to show up to pay his respects and say goodbye don't show up, that's just a whole nother heartbreaker, because that truly shows you what this addiction destroyed. It destroys lives. It destroys friendships. It destroys families. Just get educated. Like, if you don't know anything about addiction other than what you read on Facebook or what you hear someone bitching about, listen, there's a lot of addicts in my life. And I usually, because George has cameras, so I'm not really worried, I leave my door open all the time. So I never know if I'll wake up and somebody's sleeping on my couch. So I guess, I don't know, that's really the end of it. I mean, does anybody have any questions they want to ask? Anything they want to say? I don't know what else to say. But yeah. I'm going to go back and read what Alyssa was saying before. So Alyssa Metz wrote, addiction took me places I've never imagined I would ever go. It broke me, lost everything. I lost myself, lost my loved ones. I was a heroin and cocaine user to try to hide my pain. I thank my lucky stars every day that somehow, some way, I will celebrate 8 years this March. Whoop, whoop. Shout out, Alyssa. I cannot imagine the pain I caused. I cannot share on social media what my turnaround was, as it is too personal. Message me, I'll tell you. But it's been a very long, hard road. But I can say now I own my own house. I'm married, my best friend. I have a 2-year college degree in human services. I have 3 beautiful babies with my husband and 2 older girls I love dearly. The best thing my parents ever did for me was taught me tough love. They never gave up on me and held me accountable. I put my husband through hell and he stuck by my side through everything. Addiction is a very sore subject for some, I know. There's always a battle between addiction or disease. And to me, it will always be disease. I thank you so much for talking about it. I'm so proud of you. 3-5-11, we do recover. Congratulations, Alyssa. I'm very proud of you. Catherine, loving an addict is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Girl, it is not for the weak of heart. I will give you that. I will. Let's see here. Sammy says there is help. There is help. My girl Sammy, I'm not going to put her last name out there, but my girl Sammy went from being extremely addicted to heroin, crack, crazy shit, to now sober, full-time mama. She went through jail, rehab, and she's now graduating. And we'll be moving in her new apartment tomorrow. So, whoop whoop. Shout out to Sammy. I'm so proud of her. Graham, I love you. And I know that Brandon loves you very much. And many of you may not know why I'm going to college. I'm going because I'm going for human services with a minor in chemical dependency. Because I don't want Brandon or Eric's deaths to mean nothing. So if I can help save lives and share their story in the process, then I'm going to do it. But Grandma, I'm glad that you could watch this and that you're okay with it, because I was a little nervous that family was going to be upset about it. But, you know. So yeah, that's my day, that's my video, so I think that's really all I can say now. So I will talk more tomorrow, but I made a post about what other topics y'all want me to talk about other than these makeup tutorials I'm gonna put. So yeah, leave it in the comments or go comment on that page. And just tell me what you want to talk about. I mean, I don't really care. There's nobody here, so I feel like I'm kind of talking to myself. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.